Oi, you know what time it is? You're tuned in listening to Dry That Aussie Metal Guy. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his content when it drops. And remember, stay brutal, you mad dogs. Roof!
G'day, how you all going? It's Jai, that Aussie Metal Guy here with Crank.com and with Cranium Radio. So tonight, wherever you are in the world, it is with great pleasure that I'm getting to have a chat with Oscar Dronjak of the almighty Hammerfall, who recently released their latest album, Avenge The Fallen, August 9th through Nuclear Blast Records, which is an amazing album. But they've also, which I'm super excited about, announced a first ever Australian tour. I know you've briefly come over for one show, but one show is not enough. First time in 27 years. You guys must be excited, one for the album and for the tour coming up.
Yeah, I mean, we are very excited about the album and the tour. The album has been a tremendous success all over the world so far. It's really nice to work on something that long and then have that sort of payoff, and that's that people seem to like it as much as you do, basically. And the tour, one show 10 years ago and then nothing for the previous 20, 15 years, whatever it was before that. It's not enough. It's going to be great. I've always wanted to go to Australia, but it's never been. It's partly part of the reason it's never happened before is because we didn't have any great contacts or connections down there.
Yep.
And now we have oh shit, I can't remember.
Phoenix is bringing this over. I think it is.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
I got you, mate.
Yeah, thank you. So now we have somebody who not only knows what they're doing, but they believe in us as well. So it's going to be really great. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, surprising life happens, and you guys probably have played all over the world and then sat down and like, wait a minute, we haven't been over to Australia yet, so we fucking better get on that. You guys have an absolutely ripping career from like 1997. Hammerfall has just grown and evolved from when you were it was started out a little bit slow. I think more of a side project thing because you were all in other bands at the time. And then you kind of really picked up motion. I've been a big fan of Hammerfall for bloody ages. So with this album, Avenge the Fallen, I was super excited about, mate. Can you tell me a little bit about the songwriting process for this, kind of how you've worked this one?
So nowadays, like before in the first, let's say 15, 20 almost years of Hammerfall's career, we doing a touring cycle. Then we had a break. Then we wrote the songs and recorded the albums, and we started touring again. But it doesn't work like that anymore. Since I'd say 7, 8 years or so, we're touring constantly. So there's a very limited space between the last show and the recording starts. You can't write everything in that space of time. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Or you can do it, but then the songs will be shit. So yeah. I prefer not to do it that way. So I started writing songs on the road, while we were touring. All you need really is an interface, a computer, and a guitar. And I have a small guitar that fits in my suitcase, so I bring that everywhere where I go. It's my warm-up guitar and my writing music guitar. That has facilitated things tremendously, because that means like when it's time to record an album, I've already been working on it for months, usually maybe a year. I already started thinking about next album actually. So, this has given me a lot more freedom, a lot more time to plan things, which is helpful, very helpful. Because I don't need that stress having to finish everything in a couple of weeks. It's not going to turn out great.
Exactly, and you got all the guys there, so you can kind of work off each other a little bit as well. Kind of, you're stuck with me out on the tour bus, guys. We're going to be fucking making some more music. So is that how you're able to be so prolific? Because that's one thing about Hammerfall. It's like every couple of years, you almost have an album out as well. If you haven't heard anything from you guys, you start going, "What the fuck's going on?" Because you're just so prolific with the way you make music, and then you're touring, and you're so busy. How do you maintain that? You know what I mean? Like the work-life balance as well with all that, because it must get a bit hard too at times juggling it all.
Yeah, there's a lot of planning going into it, of course. Joachim is particularly good at this. He likes to have his future laid out, so he knows what's going on.
At our age, you got to.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I've been getting a lot better at that. You know, in the early days of Hammerfall, I didn't care about anything about rather other than what was going on at the moment. Basically, you know, I was not great at planning. But he's always been a little bit like that. So he's sort of his planning has helped carry Hammerfall forward a lot of times when I just didn't give a shit, you know, because whatever happens, happens. That's maybe a bit. Not quite how he was, but definitely there's some truth to it, you know. So we that's how we do it. We're planning more than anything else.
Yeah, and you start, you know what I mean? You're not like, we're not in our 20s anymore. So it becomes, you start thinking more about, you
True.
know, it's not finishing a
Yeah.
show and getting blind, rotten drunk. It's going home, and you got to treat it like a real career, especially these
Yeah.
days, because playing live is a huge part of the scene. I'm glad that as metalheads, we still go out and buy the physicals, like buy
Yeah.
the physicals for the Hammerfall albums and, you know, have them in our record collection. But it's hard for bands even like yourself, because it's more and more reliant on playing these live shows. And I do like to point that out to people, that it's always important to
Yeah.
get along and support the band. Like, buy these tickets for the Hammerfall show, spend a shitload on merch, which I do now because I don't drink. I still go to the shows and buy a
All
ton
right.
of merch. You know what I mean? It's huge. So,
Yeah.
but that being said, it must kind of be a kind of a struggle at times too, juggling that. I know you guys love playing live; it is a huge part of it. But how do you feel the state of the scene is going? Because I feel it's kind of a little bit broken at the moment with that kind of platform. We need to come back to supporting the artists a little bit more.
Well, that's always welcome, of course. You know, buying merchandise and stuff. That's how we sort of survive in certain territories on the road.
Yes.
Like merch is really important for that. But just also, uh, Joachim used to say always say that live shows or live events, that's the only thing. The experience, you cannot download that experience. You know that,
No.
yeah, you have to be there, and that I think that is very true. That's why live events in any sports or music, whatever it is, like live events are so important. That's why they you know, jack up the prices for everything too. You know, for the UFC, for example, I follow that. You
Yep.
know, the fucking, you know,
That's the only sport
I've
I
been to a
follow.
lot of
That
them.
and music is my
Yeah,
sport as well. So I do
yeah,
watch the UFC. I love my UFC, but besides that, music is my sports teams, as you're saying, going
yeah,
along,
right,
seeing
right,
bands play live. I went and seen Amarante, fellow Swedish band, last night, and they
right.
absolutely tore it up. And as I was watching it, I just kept thinking, man, I can't wait to see Hammerfall now. Like, you guys coming over as well. It's just going to be absolutely bloody unreal. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with you. It's gonna be great because this is a territory we have only been once before, and that usually means that people are very excited to see us. You know, and it gives a great atmosphere to the live shows. Because for me, a heavy metal show is not just about a band performing and people watching or listening to it. For me, it's a band performing and the audience getting into it. You know, like getting into the show, screaming, yelling, fists in the air, whatever, all that stuff, because that is the energy that we feed off to give a better show, better performance, more basically unique experience for everybody, not just for the fans, but for us as well. So that's why I always say that our shows is like a heavy metal party. You know, you should come and enjoy yourself, because if you're standing in the corner and looking at everybody else, then it's not much of a party. So if you come to the shows, at least you know, get into it. We will have a great time together. That is my promise.
Exactly. Hammerfall is definitely not a band you want to be sitting on the sidelines for. And speaking of the crowd getting into it, the film clip dropped 2 weeks ago, I think roundabouts, for the Avenge the Fallen. That was a
Yep.
cool clip. The whole crowd just kind of getting into it as well. Tell us a little bit about that track and the clip there.
Yeah, that's an interesting video we did. It was a small bar with the stage kind of in Stockholm. We invited some really like people who really wanted to be there, Hammerfall fans, of course. We didn't need that many. I would say it was like 120 or something like that. That's perfect amount of for that, because we wanted to create that sweaty club atmosphere, that sort of thing that, you know, where just a band playing the intensity, the energy, and all that stuff. That's what we wanted to capture, and it turned out really great. You know, we recorded all our videos with Patrick Elias from Gothenburg, such a great great guy, and great, so great at what he's doing. So he managed to capture that atmosphere very well. I think I'm very happy about that song.
Yeah, definitely. The singles that were released off it were really well done. The End Justifies and the Hail to the King was cool with the
Right.
footage in
Yeah.
between of you guys playing,
Exactly.
which was really, really cool to see. But the album has some really, really cool deep cuts on it, which I enjoyed as well, like some of the more ballad tracks as well, which I like to talk about too, because whole albums are unreal,
Well,
listening to whole albums. But tell us a little bit about kind of the Hope Springs Eternal, because that track and Capture the Dream, I don't know, that just kind of hit me today. I was like kind of playing over them
right.
over it again. It was kind of just, yeah, I don't know, something about Hammerfall and power metal in general. It just has that feeling that you go, you know what, I can get up and kick the fucking shit out of today.
Yeah, it's, oh man, make me so happy that you say that, because that is that's one of the things that I always wanted to be able to be able to make other people feel when they listen to our music. The same things I felt when I listened to my favorite bands when I was a teenager. I wanted to feel invincible. I wanted to feel like there's nothing in the world that they can't do, and at least that there's nothing in the world that they can't try to do, because you can't succeed with everything. Everybody has to, failure is just a path to more learning. I say it sucks when you fail, but it's also the only way to learn anything, really. So I want people to take charge of their own lives, because that's what I did when I listened to guys like Dee Snider from Twisted Sister, for example. The lyrics of his music is incredible. It's like that was an arrow to my heart when I was a kid. That's exactly what the outlook of life. Like, nobody's going to give anything to you. You got to take it for yourself. And if anybody doesn't like it, what you do, if you like it, fuck them. That's the only thing that, fuck everybody else. Is that if they don't understand what you're doing, it's their problem, not yours. And that is kind of the heavy metal spirit, I guess. And that's how I've lived my life ever since then. And without that attitude, there would not be a Hammerfall in the first place. So I think it served its purpose fairly well.
Exactly. Like I was chatting to Francesco of Flesh God when they dropped that album. We were talking about how important art and music is in general, because as a young metalhead, that was kind of our therapist, you know what I mean? You'd put on your favorite albums and it would, as you're saying, it would hit you in a place that, some people wouldn't understand, but you would, and you'd feel like that person's talking right to you. It's just unreal how music has that connection for you guys. And
Exactly.
coming up, I think, nearly 30 bloody years or something of Hammerfall. Did you see yourself doing this for this long, man, with Hammerfall?
No, there's no way. Especially in the beginning. I mean, the first couple of years was well, I guess I would say not until the release of the first album, really. And then it took me years before I realized what we were actually doing. But because the musical climate for melodic heavy metal music in the 90s was really non-existent, basically. People talk to us like, why don't you play music that somebody wants to listen to? It's like, fuck you, I want to listen to this music. That's why we play it. And that attitude was prevalent. That's everybody's attitude, basically, in the 90s, because the 90s was so I want to say infected, because for me it was, with the grunge and the rhythm based aggressive stuff. It lacked melodies for me to enjoy it fully. So and plus I came from that background, with Judas Priest and Accept and all those bands, the heavy metal of the 80s, and that is what I wanted to build on with Hammerfall. But nobody else was interested, except for a select few of my friends that I found that could tolerate this for a while. So I didn't really see any big future or anything. I mean, the whole basis of Hammerfall is for the love of the music. There's nothing else that was going into it, because if you started playing this type of music in the 90s and said to people, "Oh, this is gonna be the next big thing," like, they would shoot you and leave you for dead in the road, because it was the dumbest thing they ever heard in their life. Because that was never that's never gonna happen. But once Joachim came into my life in '96, he came in just to do one show, and then he was there for a long time. He what was I saying? Oh yes, sorry. Yeah, so when Joachim came in, he was he had the same background as me musically. He had the same vision for what a heavy metal band should be, and he had a lot of the same musical. Like we liked a lot of the same bands, basically. And for me, that was a big eye opener, because I didn't know anybody that felt as strongly as I did for this type of music. It already, back in, this is '96, like I said, so it's fairly late. But and that's why, like, when he came in the band, that is when, I mean, I started the band in '93, but like you said, it was maybe not a side project, but we didn't really think it was going to go anywhere, so we just played it for fun. But once Joachim came into the picture, things started moving really fast, because he was the type of singer also that I always envisioned Hammerfall to have. And so, that we just took the ball and kept it rolling since then, I guess you could say. But to answer your question, no, we had no intention of doing this 30 years later. There was never any question about that. Our first album, Glory to the Brave, when it came out, we was like hoping, oh, if it sells 5,000 copies, we'll be the luckiest guys in the world. The height of that first year was when we I don't want to say forced, but they didn't want to do it. But our dream was to have a vinyl album, like to release a vinyl album. That was both Joachim's and my dream, because we were both vinyl collectors even to this day. And so when Nuclear Blast relented, okay, you can get your vinyl, 500 copies or whatever the fuck it was, I don't remember. But then that was like, that's the biggest day of my career. For that, it's one of the highlights. That when you actually had that vinyl album of your own music in your hand, that was a big deal for me. But like I said earlier, it took me years to realize. Even like we started with the Glory to the Brave, it started snowballing kind of from that point. It went really quickly, but it took me years and years until I realized that, oh shit, this is actually happening. We were affecting people in the same way that I was affected in the early days of my life, or the teenage years. This is real, because it was so unbelievable. It took me years to just get in that zone, and then from that point on, of course, then I knew what we were dealing with. But it took me a while to understand the whole concept of this, how big it had gotten at that point.
Oh yeah, I definitely feel Hammerfall has had a direct impact on a lot of these power metal bands coming through now. You know what I mean, like Windrose and bands of that ilk come through, which we're about to tour with Powerful as well. It must be good for you to kind of sit back and see that kind of go strength for strength, not only with Hammerfall, but as a genre and a style as well coming out. Because as I was saying before, power metal and Hammerfall and bands like you put on and you just, you know what I mean? You just feel like this motivation, as I was saying, you can go out there and kind of kick through the day. And your lyrics and the way you guys deliver it, it's absolutely unreal. It has some real points that hit you hard, but then you're always left going, you know what I mean? Like uplifted. That's just for me when I listen to you guys as well,
But it should be uplifting, it should be a positive message, even though it's not happy all the time. It should be a positive message. What I was talking about earlier, you should feel like you can take on the world.
Yep.
That's the energy I want you to have when you listen to Hammerfall.
And it's not our tragedies that define us, it's our triumphs, as you're saying, you know what I mean? You fall down 100 times, you keep getting up. Like, as you were saying in the early days of Hammerfall, you kept pushing and pushing. You had a dream and a vision that you was going to pay off one day. And it's like, man, it doesn't matter how many times I fall down, I'm going to get up and this is going to fucking happen. And fast forward to now. You know what I mean? Like, you guys are absolutely ruling the world. Coming back to playing the Oz tour, man, you've got such a huge collection, as I've mentioned. How do you whittle it down to go? I know you've obviously got to have the classics on there, but how do you whittle it down to a set list that's, not 4 or 5 hours long?
No, I know that's I guess it's a positive problem, but it's still a problem. It's a good thing to have that, but it's hard, because I want to play so many more songs than we are doing, and it's not going to happen. So it'll be something. I don't think we're going to do anything really like a special set list, because we've never been down there before. But we are going to do we definitely do the classics, and we want to push the new album, and then we're going to have some fun stuff in there too, for sure. You know,
Oh
there's,
yeah,
there's
so
gonna be
some of the
time
tracks
for
off that new album, I can't wait. I'm going to be there in Adelaide, and I'm going to see you guys, dude. But I'm
Cool.
looking forward to hearing some of that new stuff live as well, and just a little bit of everything. But this new album absolutely rules. The cover art on it, I've always loved the cover art for you guys, but this one
Yeah.
is absolutely OP as hell, man. Who done that one for you again?
It's the same guy who's done the
The
cover art
last
for
few?
us a long time.
I
Yeah,
thought so,
it's
dude.
yeah, there it is.
Yep.
Samwise Didier, his name. He used to work for Blizzard Entertainment on the World of Warcraft games.
Dude, I thought so
Yep.
because I'm a massive nerd, like, and I've been
Yeah,
looking at the
yeah.
last how many albums, and I'm like, oh man, that looks so much like the WoW world. I used to have them on, play them
Yep,
all
yep.
the time.
No, when he actually, this is back in 2002. The first album he did for us was the Crimson Thunder album, 2002.
Which
And he contacted us just out of the blue, like he mailed some of us or the label, I don't know, but they got to us anyway. Somehow in the end, the mail. He said, "I'm work for this. I do this, and this is what I create when I listen to you guys' music. I like it a lot, and whatever." And then we saw, wow, these are pretty cool. You know, we contacted him, and he's been with us ever since. So it's been, yeah, his artwork is a huge part of Hammerfall now. You can't get around that. You know, he's a great guy too. Really, really cool guy. He always comes out to hang with us when we're on tour in the US because he lives in the US, of course. But so yeah, he's a very important part of it.
yes, hand in hand. And you did mention Crimson Thunder. I think last year was it the 20-year anniversary of that album?
2 years ago, yeah, but we released the album last year. You're right.
Yeah, dude, killer album. I will kind of wind this up for you though, mate. I know you got to get off and do a couple more. Australia, they are hitting 2025 January, Tuesday 14th in Perth at Metro, Fremantle, Wednesday 15th. Adelaide, I'll be there for that one. Friday 17th, Melbourne, Northcote. Saturday 18th, Sydney, Manning Bar. Sunday 19th, Brisbane, the Triffid. What are you looking forward to doing down under when you get here, mate?
I don't know. I did an interview with another guy who said, if you like beaches and beer, this is the place for you. So I thought that sounded interesting.
You're going to go get the obligatory koala shot, man. You have to go get one of them.
I love animals, so it's not out of the question, you know.
No.
Yeah, I mean, we'll do stuff for sure. This is not the week I'm gonna spend at the hotel somewhere. You know, I'm gonna experience stuff. That's my plan anyway.
Yeah,
I can't wait to get down there.
You get to see some Australian hospitality. Everybody, go out, grab the latest album from Hammerfall, Avenge The Fallen. It did drop August 9th through Nuclear Blast. They are literally playing all over the fucking world. They're about to kick off with Powerwolf and Windrose, as I mentioned, over there in Europe, coming down to Australia in January. Everybody get some Hammerfall, chuck it in the stereos, crank it up really loud, mate. Do you have any last words, shout outs, thank yous, or anything else you'd like to add in?
No, just see you in January. Don't miss it because it's going to be one hell of a heavy metal party.
That's it. Absolute bloody legend. Cheers, mate.
Oi, you're tuned in to Jai That Aussie Metal Guy, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his sick content. And remember, stay brutal, you legend.